Take her show.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. All right. So that's what our countdown looks like for tonight. Hopefully, in this next coming year, 2022, we will have a much better countdown than we are. No doubt about it. We got snippets coming. We got videos coming. We got music coming. We have a lot of shit that we want to do. Sorry, a lot of stuff we want to do.
Step our game up.
And so we are there. So, just playing with little things this year has definitely been a really cool trial and error, like test run kind of experience. And, I tell you, I watch these shows every Tuesday night after we air, and I learn something about myself. I learn something about just this whole process. I learn something every show that I watch. And so, like, totally ready to, like, not have these standard snippets that we have, but they've served their purpose. So stay tuned. 2022, you will definitely see some movement and some growth from Free Thinkers. And, of course, with that being said, starting off the top of the show, thank you to those of you who support us. Thank you to those of you who are watching us right now. Thank you to those of you who have been following us and been a part of the Free Thinkers family. I thought about just what 2021 has been for me, and the significance of this being our last show of the year. And watching some shows today just reminded me like how grateful and humble I am to be in this room with you, Q, every Tuesday, and of course everybody else that joins us every Tuesday or have joined us in the past, whether it was meeting in person, because this, I don't think that people realize sometimes like how much this can take out of a person, and you don't even know it. Like when you are transparent and you are vulnerable and you are, pretty raw, it's a big deal. So we love this thing, and I know I speak for Q when I say we greatly appreciate you guys for your support, and have helped build this Free Thinkers thing, and will hopefully continue to build in the 2022 year. With that being said, we are on YouTube, and we are certainly trying to draw as much of our traffic to YouTube as we can from here on out in the future. Of course, we're always going to play with Facebook while we can, but things like me being in jail, especially on show nights, makes it challenging to really kind of like share information and spread information without like hounding Q down all day long and some of the other admin members of Free Thinkers. So I always appreciate you guys for picking up my slack when I can't post. But follow us on the YouTube channel, because you can set your notifications to be turned on, and so you'll get a notice anytime we set up a meeting, which that's how I set this up, is hours and hours and hours in advance on Tuesdays on our YouTube channel. So YouTube channel is Free Thinkers Worldwide. Of course, if you're watching us from Facebook, the Facebook group page is just Facebook with 2 or 3 dots after it. Join the group if you haven't. Of course, if you've got a page or you yourself are an artist, we are more than happy to reciprocate the love. We always do. And we'll certainly follow and support you in your endeavors as well. So with that being said, that's kind of my thank you to everybody. And bear with us, as we continue to grow. And thanks for being a part of that. We do have a great topic tonight. And I think even like mid-year, Q and I talked about doing like a half year in review, and I think you may have more like in 30 on the thread, but like we never really talked about it per se. So when the conversation of end of year review came up, I was like, hell yeah. And then I started just like Googling stuff that's happened in 2021, and then there was just kind of some things that I hadn't remembered about maybe, or just things that I don't think I realized how big of a part of our life they play today, and then like moving forward, how big of a part in our life some of these things that have transpired in 2021 are going to play a role in. So I'm interested to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Do you want to jump right into it? Let's see. I'm messing with.
Yeah, let's jump. Look, how else you gonna do it? Jump right on in.
I see Kevin in the chats. What up, Kevin? Shout out. If you do comment on Facebook and or YouTube, it should show up in the comment section. So we do try to tend to the comments. I apologize if I definitely don't. I'm not the best at that. All right. So end year review 2021. The first thing I thought of was, you know, like, was it a good year? Was it not a good year? Was it a successful year? Was it like what was this year? You know, I've joked a lot this year that like this year last year didn't happen. But obviously it did, right? It happened every single day that it happened. 2021 is one of those years for me that I think there was probably just as much growth as there was maybe sadness, or pain, or some loss, or some grief, or some uncomfortable feelings. And obviously, everybody has different places. But for me, 2021 is definitely going to go down as one of my not favorite years for reasons that, you know, are not the lesson learning ones, the happy ones, the momentous ones. But then I just, like I said, you know, I pulled up just a list of different events that happened throughout this year. And some of those things certainly add to why I feel like it was a traumatic year more than it was I don't want to say good year because good is a bad word. Like, wasn't the most, I don't know, wasn't my favorite year. Overall, if you could sum 2021 up for yourself, would you say that it was a plus, a negative, a yay, a nay? How do you feel about your 2021?
I think it was a good year.
Yeah? Good. Yeah. That's a good thing.
And I mean, I guess I for me, it's all about my mindset.
Sure.
And I just look back, I have a lot to be grateful for over this year. So, was able to do quite a few things, got to go on a well-needed vacation that I hadn't been on vacation in, golly, maybe 10 years. Wow. I don't remember the last time, but, or at least, you know, at least about 7 years. But, you know, just the ability to, it was, I'll just say I was thankful and blessed. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. From a health perspective, my family fared well. Financially, I didn't run into a lot of issues that a lot of people ran into. And that's it. I'm just thankful. And
I think it's amazing that there are people who can go through, you know, the same exact times and certainly be affected in different ways, you know. And the mindset certainly has to be there. While I don't feel like 2021 was my favorite year, my mindset is also just accepting the reality of where we are and the reality of people and the reality of the situation. And so sometimes it kind of, you know, gives this maybe dark energy, but it's not. You know, at the same time, I'm also very grateful, you know, for the lessons and the gains and the experiences. And, you know, I just posted something earlier today that had it not been for COVID, you know, we would all still be living the regular standard American lifestyle that we had been living prior to that. And like how much more grateful I am today and how much my relationship with my kids has changed into something it wasn't before, but like it's fucking totally different today with them being home 24/7 for the last 2 years. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be able to be their teacher. I'm grateful to be able to, you know, kind of stand back with them and just watch the world, you know, unfold while it's unfolding. You know, one thing I've realized in 2021 is that like we're not going back to the way things were before.
Yes. That's what I think. I think 2021 was the reality check.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's mind.
2020 was like, oh, this is going away.
Right. Like, and people's mind, they had it like, all right. And everybody was like, yeah, it's a brand new year. Like 2020. Everybody like, yes, I can't wait to get out of 2020. As if like soon as the ball dropped.
Right. Everything was over. It was all finished.
And people realized, no, nothing really. And it was like literally all the way through the years. We're still just dealing with the same issues. So I think people's reality has set in now that the way that we're doing things is or the way that we were used to doing things. I don't think we're ever going to go back to that fully.
We're not, and I feel like I say that very confidently, not because I'm being pessimistic or because, I think, negatively about humanity by any means, nothing like that. I mean, the example that I always give to people, since most of us were literally all alive when 9/11 happened. If you're my age and older, you were alive when 9/11 happened. You were probably in your, late teens, if not early 20s when 9/11 happened. Like, so we remember freshly what happened when that happened, and think about how many freedoms we lost due to 9/11 that we've not ever gotten back and that we're not going to get back. And the perfect example for that is, like, when is the last time you dropped your family off at the airport and you walked them to the gate and you
I
watched the
remember
plane
that.
take
I
off?
remember that. Yeah.
Like, it used to be exciting to go to the
That
airport,
is
like,
over.
especially like old school Austin. Remember when the Robert Mueller Airport was like over 35? And I mean, like, and I'm sure a lot of cities obviously have the same thing with the planes are just flying in over your main highway. But like, you could go to the airport if you wanted to just watch fucking airplanes all day, and it was like there was no questions asked. We've not been able to do that since that day, and how much more, you know, um, how much more blah the flying experience has been for people since that time. So we're not going to go back to the way things were. People, so to hear people get on their rants about who's responsible for this or who's the problem and who's not the problem, and because if these people would just do what they're supposed to do, then we all get back in with our regular lives. No, we're not. No, we're not. Like, and if you haven't accepted that reality, it's really, really, really time that you start tapping into that, because we are not going back to what it was. There may be some privileges and some conveniences that we may return to, of course, but like, there will always be masks from this point forward somewhere. There will always be like plastic partitions up in public somewhere. Like, eventually this will be on the childhood immunization roster requirement for schools, so it's always going to be there. And I think for me, just accepting that reality and seeing it unfold, like I said, as it does, I don't know. It's interesting, and there's really almost nothing we can do about it except, I guess, find a way to live amongst whatever it's going to be, however it's going to be, and make our lives the best we can while we got them. And so I totally admire you taking the trip with your family and, doing that with your family, or having that experience, because that is what it's all about. What time we do have left here, how we spend it.
Reevaluate what quality is when it comes to time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Armand, let me ask you. Kevin asked a question in here. Said, what is the best thing of 2021 for you? What was the best thing of 2021 for you?
The best thing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess just the fact that my family members are, I guess just the fact that most of my immediate family members are still alive and they're not. I mean, basically, that my immediate family members are basically still with us.
Right.
Yeah. That's Matt, I think that's you. I think you might be trapped in the Matrix code. I can't tell.
I was wondering.
The MM, I'm guessing that's Matt. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
It is Matt. Holy smokes.
You trapped in the Matrix code.
No, you have like a green light to you.
You're in the Matrix code, dude.
You were totally Matrix. I was like, I don't even know who that is.
He took the blue pill. He took the blue pill.
Okay, now we got no face. Now we got green face. No, it's green and black.
You just in the Matrix, man. I knew it. He ain't woke.
See me perfectly.
All right.
That's crazy, because none of us can see you.
Look on the Freethinkers page and you'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, look at the video streaming.
Yeah, look at the stream and then you see. Anyway, Matt, what is the best thing that's happened for you in 2021?
I'm with Armand. Everyone, I haven't lost anyone close to me.
Yeah. Right.
My daughter moved in with me about 3 months ago. So that's cool. I like that.
Nikki,
I mean,
go ahead, Matt.
The same every other year, honestly. I mean, except for the COVID thing and having to wear a mask and quit work. And
So you feel like you've just adjusted? This is the new normal?
unfortunately, yeah.
Oh, there's one other thing that I'm grateful about is that I still have a job too.
Yes.
I'm grateful
Right.
about that too.
Right.
Yeah. And as far as this being the new normal, this is kind of like normal for me. I mean, I normally don't get to go out to a lot of places, and I normally have to think about, like, I can't always go different places, and I have to be aware of, like, how many people are there and will I be able to get out safely. But that's, I think, mainly because I have a disability and I have difficulty moving around, and I may have a weaker immune system than other people. So this is kind of normal for me.
Mm. Did you work from home prior to COVID starting?
Oh, well, actually, no, I didn't. Actually, I still don't.
Okay.
Actually, I still.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
I do
sorry.
work,
I thought you did. Okay.
but we are required to wear masks, and
Mhm.
we used to do temperature checks. Then the city of Austin recommendations changed. They may go back to temperature checks. But yeah, but at the moment we no longer do temperature checks in our office, but we are required to wear masks because we work with populations that may have compromised immune systems
Right.
and have disabilities, so they may be more susceptible to get sick.
Right. Got you.
Nikki, let me ask
Yeah.
you. Give me something that really stands out about this year, whether it was an event, a conversation, something that happened. What is something that, like, something, an event, a conversation, something that really stood
Did he
out
cut out for you guys,
you?
or?
No, it's working.
I mean, I can see you guys moving, and Quentin is all.
Can you hear me?
Still.
No, I hear Q.
Oh, Matt, you in the Matrix, man.
Yeah, it's all Matt.
Mouse, like, what is,
like, we can't see you. You look like the old rated X movies at 2 a.m. when you try to look in on Cinemax.
a little movement.
I see, like, rare. It's like,
I can see it now.
No, I can't see none of that.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. If you cool, I'm cool. If not, then just try to come out and come back in. But either way, you good.
Hold
on. What's something that just really popped out for you? Yeah, what's something that pops out for you for this year that stood out?
For me, and I really hate to always, like, defer back to what probably my bitch of the year has been, right? But, like, I think that people's, like, just, is it woeful or willful? Maybe it's both. I don't know. Just woeful or willful ignorance. And not just on the COVID thing, but certainly significantly regarding COVID, but just so many things that have taken place where people don't do their research and speak on certain things or make proclamations about certain things, or, try to get involved in, debates or conversations or, anything intellectual regarding certain things that they really don't know anything about. And they're literally just going off of emotion. Like, so the woeful ignorance or willful ignorance, whichever one it is, and then just the cognitive dissonance that's nothing new, but I think just seeing it on the scale that I personally feel like I see it today, that's what stands out to me the most. I think that's what makes me the saddest out of all the things that I'm bothered by in current time.
Huh.
I think it's Matt.
What the heck?
Yeah, it's totally you. So what the heck?
I can see me fine on here.
You gotta look on the Freethinkers Facebook.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. Green and black.
You're green. Yeah, you're green and black.
He matrixed out, I'm telling you.
I mean, but you can talk, so we can hear you. I was hearing feedback, so.
They gave you the pill when you took the blue one.
That's the part that I think bothers me the most, that stands out the most. I wish I could say something more optimistic, but that's just not the space that I'm in. with current, social climate right now.
Kevin says, so does that mean COVID is not as bad as they say? I will not say that.
Right.
I know too many people who have people. I don't have anybody directly in my family, but I do have extended people who I know who have lost loved ones. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
and I do
because I
too.
know
they would
I know
definitely
people,
say that it's bad.
because I know
Right.
people that have COVID, and it is. I mean, so it is definitely bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
for
knew people
sure.
who I worked like clients of mine who I'd speak to them, and 3 weeks later they weren't available. 2 weeks after that, then they were already put in the ground.
Damn.
So it's I definitely, for the person who's been directly impacted, they definitely say that it's bad as people say it is.
And that doesn't just have to mean like that doesn't just have to be referencing people who have lost people. That could be folks who've lost a business, people who have lost their job, who haven't been able to pay rent or mortgage for
Can't go
6,
to
8,
Fry's
12
no more.
months.
Fry's cut out
Fry's and shut down, we took a serious hit, in our business. I mean, we're barely fucking hanging in there with a string. So, I was one of those people who had every aspect of my personal life, my professional life, my whole entire life was affected by COVID. Thankfully, my children and I, my daughter has, because she's been in a far more situations with people than I have. She works in the school system, so she's had COVID. She had it before. She thought when everybody had initially got sick, like that November, December, January, like 2019 to 2020.
I think I got it in January.
A lot of people were like, I know that's what I had to have. I couldn't get better. Like it wasn't going away.
I think I got sick back around that same time frame because it hurt to breathe.
Yeah, like big time. Yeah, big time.
My ribs hurt as I was breathing up and down and out, and so so I think I did have COVID.
And it wasn't like anything else. I mean, I would.
No, that's what everybody said. They're like, this was not the flu. This was not. Like, couldn't even do that. Like going from one room to the other, people were like, I was dead. Like I was winded. I had no energy. I couldn't. So and we know us. We know like when this is just not normal.
I'm glad, really, if that was the case. I'm glad
you didn't know what it was when it was happening.
I didn't know what it was, and I'm glad because then that complete panic would have said
It makes you wonder though, like, because I don't know if you really remember. I knew a lot of people who were sick at that time, and they were like, "This shit has been going on for 2 months. I've been to every doctor. Like, I don't have pneumonia. I don't have flu. I don't have strep. I don't have this. I don't have that." People are like, "What the fuck do I have? Like, I am sick, like not going away, sick." And this was like all over. This wasn't just like local Austin or even Texas. Like this was people all over the place who were getting sick. So she got COVID, and then she caught it again for Easter. But my boys and I, we've so far been unscathed with the COVID. But we've had to make drastic lifestyle changes to support that too. Like, I had to give up 99% of my conveniences in my life to be able to stay home and be able to not go out, in social settings, regardless of whether you think the mask works or not, regardless of whether you think the vaccine works or not, regardless of whether you think, blah, 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 blah. Like like you said, Armand, my son is immune compromised, and I just was not going to put us in a position to where I didn't have to, and I had to make a lot of fucking sacrifices and have paid dearly and have, all but bled this turnip dry, to be able to stay afloat. So for me, seeing so much of my personal life being affected and so many other people's lives being affected, versus those whose lives hadn't really gotten affected and who money wasn't really affected and, made money during this time, or like actually did really, really well during this time. Like, fuck yeah, for people who have been able to monopolize and capitalize and, exponentially increase their personal value and worth. That was not my experience during this time, but I feel like what I gained emotionally, what I gained logically, what I gained, in my view of where we are versus, like Smack always says, you know, this idea of where, you know, things are or what things are. Like, I don't know. It's not been the warmth feeling that I have felt inside, but it just is what it is. And so for me, that's the biggest part, like I said, that stands out is people who just say things or do things or act in ways that are, you know, certainly counterproductive towards other people who may not be doing as well, you know, as you are or the next person is in this situation, and thinks as though, well, if my shit ain't bad, well, then it must not be bad really for anybody. Like, that's a crazy thought process for me. That makes me sad. That makes me sad. You know, and I think I've said it even in the last couple shows we've done. Like, why does something have to happen to us for us to, you know, be affected by something that happens to other people? And like, shit, we're going into year 3 of this thing, and people are still struggling and, you know, scared to go out and don't have medical insurance. And, you know, I had a friend who was online last night who was damn near in fucking tears, who was like, y'all, like, I'm about to die. Like, my chest hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. Like, he's shaking. He's fully vaccinated. Like, he goes out and about, you know, he's doing this, there's just, you know, he's out there in the street type shit, you know. And right now, whatever's going around, whether it's a cold or not, whatever's going around right now, everybody's sick everywhere.
When was the last time
nobody's had it for like 2 years? Look, somebody said, I think I got the flu. I'm like, no, you know damn well you ain't got no flu.
Nobody's had the flu in
Nobody's had flu in 2 years. It doesn't exist. You know, and the flu that we got before, it didn't look like COVID shit. like you said, you know,
I hated the flu. I felt like the flu made me feel like I don't do well getting sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I have had the flu because because I remember, I can't remember exactly when I had it, but yeah, it sucked. I was throwing up. Things were coming out both ends.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, that was not fun either.
That's food poisoning. Yeah, food
poisoning. Yeah, well, not all flus are like that. Some flus are just respiratory. Some flus are stomach. Some flu is just like body where everything fucking hurts. Like, just to even touch your skin is sort of the touch. Like, I had flu one time, but I've never had a flu shot, nor will I ever get a flu shot, you know, but, you know, that's just me.
Right. Well, I chose, I've gotten the COVID shot, I've gotten the booster, I've gotten the flu shot. I'm not taking any chances.
And that's your right. And it's good you have the right to exercise what you want to do with your body. All we ask is that we get the same respect when it comes to our body. And that's certainly been probably the highlight of 2021 for me, is seeing how many people are just co-signing on forcing vaccinations upon other people, when we know now, going into year 3, we now know all of the things that we know. We've seen the things that we've seen. We've read and researched maybe the things that we hadn't read and researched before. Like, some people owe your conspiracy friends an apology, but we've seen enough to know this vaccine was not like this end all be all cure all that it was presented to be. And so
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Nikki. I don't think it was presented as an end all be all cure all. I think it was more like a condom or a seatbelt. Like, it's not going to protect you totally, but it's better than nothing.
Why? Why would it be better than nothing? People are still getting it.
Analogy, Armand.
I have a slew of people.
The vaccine is like a condom. I like that. I like that analogy.
Reason why a condom is better than nothing.
But
it's not going to protect you from everything, but it's better.
But they supposed to work if you. But they supposed to work if you use them properly, right? And
Armand, it's still not.
And in this right, but in this case, people have gotten reinfected.
But Nikki, though, by that logic, why do you wear a seatbelt? Like, a seatbelt can't give you 100% protection, but we all still put it on.
I wear my seatbelt before I don't wear a seatbelt. I'm not stupid.
Well, that's my point, though. Then it's kind of in the same category. It's a form of protection. If you choose to use it, it'll give you some protection. It may not. We
don't have. We have actual
great analogies.
So we have actual data, right? We have proof. We've seen that seatbelts save lives. We've seen condoms prevent pregnancy from happening. We've seen those things.
Not all the time.
We've seen them work. We've seen them work, though. We've not seen this work.
We've seen the vaccines work. I mean,
How? When people who are
look at it this way,
double
Nikki,
and
I got the
people
vaccine,
are
I'm
double
not
and
dead yet.
triple, but there
Nikki,
are people who
I
are
got the
double and
vaccine, I'm not
triple jabbed. There are
Nikki,
people who are double and triple jabbed that are. There are people who are
well,
double and triple
percentage.
jabbed that are getting tested and they're positive again. So
That's not the
just
point.
because
No,
you haven't gotten tested or been positive or died doesn't mean that other people haven't been exposed
but
who are jabbed.
what is said, and this is goes along to my experience from the people that I know as well.
Who
The
are double
people,
and triple jabbed?
the
Hold
people.
on. Matt,
Uh-oh.
turn your speakers down.
I got it.
Okay, I got you. The people who die from COVID now, the majority, 9 out of 10 people, maybe even more, are unvaccinated people who actually to the point of fatality.
9 out of 10 people. I don't even know if that number is accurate, but
When you talk,
I would bet you 9 out of those 10 people also have comorbidities, also are overweight, also have immune compromised situations,
right, but they're also, and
also have other issues that
a
this
lot of those
virus,
people
which
who
is
have issues
designed
that are
to
also
do.
vaccinated.
There's a
Still,
lot of people, yeah.
I don't know anyone up until this point who were vaccinated and also died after they caught. People still catch it. Now that's my issue.
Oh, there's a lot
I
of
don't-
folks who have
I
died
don't-
post-vax.
I don't like the term
Hold on.
vaccination because it gives people a false sense of security as if they can't catch it.
Yep.
Well, it has
But-
given false sense of security, and that was my thing about the end-all be-all statement. Is that's how it was brushed to the public?
And
is
let me go a
get the
step further,
shot,
Nikki.
take
Let me
the
go a step
mask
further.
off, and celebrate with your family.
But let me go a step further, Nikki. The government is also presenting the numbers and the rise as if all of these unvaccinated people is what's making these numbers spike and go up, and the numbers of COVID are spiking because people won't get vaccinated, and that's not true.
That's
There's
a lie.
somebody-
Thank you. Thank
and I
you.
think even more so, it's
Right.
the people who are vaccinated are walking around like, oh well, I'm good now, and they're
Yeah.
continuing. They're the ones. I think they're the ones who are spreading it as
They're the
much, if
super
not
spreaders.
more, because they're not taking any precautions. They're not because hey, I got the shot. I'm good now.
But they got their they got their.
Well,
So
that's
what
the part
condom
I
are
don't
they?
like
What
about
condom are they
most-
wearing? What seatbelt are they wearing? Because they're out there just like.
Right. But at the same time, I know many people who died from COVID, but there's no one that I personally know who's been vaccinated who died from COVID. So that goes back to Armand's seatbelt analogy or condom analogy. It lessens the risk.
Right, but
Not
there
saying
is
that you can't catch
there's plenty of information out there to support that there are people who have, and just because you may not know one personally doesn't mean that they don't happen. So here enters into my woeful ignorance statement, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying people who won't fucking read, people who won't entertain. You know, we just can't be making this shit up. Like, we're not just trying to be divisive, and we're not. You're talking when I'm talking. You can't listen if you're talking when I'm talking. We're not trying to be divisive. We're really not trying to do anything other than paint accurate information for people to make a decision on what they want to do. And really, it's not for people to make decisions, honestly. It's for those of us who choose to not vaccinate, or those of us who choose to speak out against these things, to stop being bombarded with ignorance. Like, literally, like, that's cool if you want to get it, and that's cool if you think that it is why your COVID isn't as bad as it would be if you didn't get it. But I choose not to. And I shouldn't be forced to lose my job. It's like a sexual assaultist. It's like a rapist. If you tell anybody I'm going to kill your family, what the fuck? So I just have to? Well, no, because ultimately those of us who choose not to vaccinate are the ones that are punished and blamed for us not going back to the way things were.
But you're not being punished by the ones who are vaccinated. You're being punished by the government who.
We are if the ones who are vaccinated. We are if the ones who are vaccinated.
And I'm not punishing you. I don't have the ability to punish you, nor the other millions of people who are
vaccinated. If people who are vaccinated, definitely.
You cannot lump everybody in that same category.
I never do lump everybody in the same category.
Let me ask you because this killed the conversation, like what Kevin said. They've been doing fake numbers before we got the vaccine. Do you believe that what I'm presenting to you are fake numbers when I say people who are vaccinated are not dying at the same rate of those who are unvaccinated? Do you believe those are fake numbers?
I don't want to say they're fake numbers, but I question the numbers. I question anything that is science related right now. I question anything that comes from official resources. I question anything that comes from the hospital. We know people have died in car accidents who their fucking death certificate said COVID. What? We know people who, were on their last leg, unfortunately dying of cancer, who died and then had COVID and they died of COVID. No, they've been a fucking cancer patient for the last 5 years. They were about to die. They were stage 4. So we know the numbers are padded, and we know this. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. I am not, to know the numbers are fucking padded. And so this whole thing has been propagandized. This whole entire thing has been weaponized. So I do question the numbers frequently. Yes.
To be true at once, and I could maybe agree with you if my personal experience didn't go along with the numbers. So what I'm saying by that, I don't personally know anyone who died who was vaccinated, but I know several people. Hold on. I know several people who did die who were not vaccinated. So that's the same thing. Let me go back to Armand's seatbelt argument. There's people who die, they wear seatbelt, they get in a car wreck and they still die. When you look at the fatalities over the course of a year, you will find far more fatalities happen from people who were not in seatbelts and ejected from cars or whatever happened than people who were in seatbelts. So again, it's not 100%, but it does speak to this is something that helps lessen the exposure that you have to the lethal capabilities of the virus. I don't, unless you believe that the numbers are just fake, then I don't know how you refute that unless you just say, "Oh, the numbers are fake." Kind of like Kevin said.
I do believe that the numbers are not accurate. So yeah, no, but that also does not mean I don't think that this virus is real. That does not mean that I don't think that this whole thing is just a fake. And a lot of people that have my stance feel that way, that it's not fake. We don't deny that something's happening out here. We're fucking seeing it. We're seeing it in droves. We're watching people die. We're watching people get the jab and die afterwards. We're watching people have, side effects that they didn't have before. So we're watching a lot of things happening. And, the safest response to so many of these types of questions is, I don't know. I don't know, because we don't. Yeah. We do not know. But what we do know is that they do lie to us. What we do know is that, they puppet the shit out of us. What we do know is that, so it's so that's been my biggest. I guess that's been my biggest thing about 2021.
You need to look at my New Year predictions. I got a prediction about that whole thing in general. But Matt, we can't see your face, so I don't know if you're trying to get in or not. What's jump in.
What stands out to you the most for 2021?
What stands out to me the most? I don't know. Can't think. I came back in, you guys are talking about COVID, so
that's what Nikki just trying to get us all.
All what? All educated dams. My bad.
She's trying to get us all put in jail. She's trying to get us put in
jail. No. I think 9 more days.
And she's good for that, because I was going through my friends list the other day, and there was 3 different accounts I had of her.
I was like, I give up.
Nikki Davis, Nikita Jones. So,
I disabled.
I work in a school, K through 8, 6 students. I'm not vaccinated. I got to get tested every week.
They're still doing that.
Yeah.
Well, at least they allowed you to not be tested, though.
I believe I've had it. I just don't know when. I think I might have had it in July, honestly. Had a headache, stuffy nose, coughing for a few days. So,
or you could have just had a cold.
Could have just had a freaking cold.
The allergies could have been kicking up, son.
Gosh.
But
so let me do this. This is what I want to do. I went online. I'm looking online, and it just, what is this? I don't even know what this news thing is. It just says the top 10 stories of 2021. We'll get some quick lightning round responses to them. Okay, number 1. See, we forgot about this.
You already know what we start with in January.
Oh, do you remember what?
Well, I'm talking about you. So, are we talking about just world events, or what are we talking about?
World
Motherfucking
events.
When them terrorists attacked the Capitol And
That was the number one on there.
shimmied up the wall, and so far have gotten. I think what the most somebody got was like a 5-year sentence or a 4-year sentence.
Oh,
That was the number one thing. I forgot. I was
oh,
like, that's
man.
so long to me. I forgot about it.
Are you serious? We started the year with them jumping the White House.
Yep, that was.
Yep. So January 6th, that started January. What else did you have for January?
I don't even know if it's January. Oh, well, Biden getting elected.
Yeah.
Or Smack said Goofy number 2.
Goofy number 2.
I listen. This is I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done.
Yes.
Voting on a. Stop it, Nikki.
I'm so happy to hear this. Yay! 2021 just got good. Yay!
Voting on the national level, I'm finished with it.
Right.
Because that all that stuff. We the black delegation. We helped get your butt up in there, and you've done Juneteenth. That's what you got for us. I'm done. I'm finished. Finito.
Yep.
So I will go to my local children's school meetings and PTA meetings, and I'll locally, but government wise, I'm finished. I'm off that bandwagon.
I think local elections affect you more anyway.
Yes.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people feel that way. So is that because you feel like your support is more valuable than anything, or do you feel like the voting system is rigged or faulty, or they choose the president for us? Like, are there other reasons besides, like, what is your reason for deciding no longer to vote in a presidential election?
Number one, there's a 2-party system. I don't care what anybody says. You can stay independent, but it's a 2-party system. Tell me the last time somebody, not a Democrat or a Republican, got into that office. It ain't been since the Federalists or the Whigs back in the 18 or 1700s. It don't happen no more. And neither party actually caters to or cares about the affairs of my people.
Right.
You got the Republicans who don't care at all. Matter of fact, they're trying to roll us back because they're trying to hold on to their vote. And then you have the Democrats who only try to throw us a bone every 3.5 years right before it's election time and try to say this is the party you should vote for, but they're not doing anything to actually repair or make equal footing on. I don't need you. I don't need your handouts.
Right.
I need equality.
Right.
And they proved and they showed this more clearly than ever. They proved in the show they don't care. And the real spit in the face is when you immediately start putting in laws for Asian discrimination, and you do all this stuff for LGBTQIA, which I can do a show about that actually. LGBT, y'all got too many letters. I'm gonna start simplifying this down. A lot of these letters overlap.
Oh,
we need
you ready for 2022? Okay.
You got about 7 letters, and you can actually narrow it down to about 3 or 4 because some of them overlap. Like even the bisexual.
There's like 100 genders though, right?
Think about that. Even lesbian. Why you don't have to differentiate lesbian from gay? Gays, lesbian. See, it's certain letters that don't even have to be in there.
I just want to ask, like, isn't lesbian just a female gay person? Isn't that what lesbian means?
Thank you, Armand. So why do we need
seriously, because I'm just asking, because when I was growing up, there were just 2 choices. It was just straight or gay. And it was
it
was just
a little bit more than that.
It was just one of those 2. But now there's all these new categories, and it's hard to tell which one.
But if the G is there, then the L is not necessary. You don't have to do that. Now we're gonna condense these letters down. But anyway, that's different. I think I do a 30 on 3 on that or something like that. But I forgot what I was saying. But I'm done.
Just how everybody got fucking rights and privileges and protections, but black people. Period. Everybody but black people or Native people got any type of protections from this administration from the minute he walked in the doors, probably to the minute he walks out those doors. Okay, so that's why I wondered what your if you had come to a place where you thought that like voting was a sham, or come to a place where you thought any of those things. But
and it ain't just about what they weren't doing; it's what they go out of their way to do for other groups at the same time. So it lets me know you can do it. You just don't see a necessity to do it for us.
Well, and then when you compare the tactics are a slap in the fucking face, in my opinion. The way that they pander for the black vote versus how they garner,
Juneteenth,
support from
really?
every other community.
You gonna give us a holiday that a large portion of the country don't even know about? It's not even a national. You made a national holiday something that really should just be a regional holiday. That's something that Texas and it's a couple states, or maybe just Texas should have made that a state holiday. Right. That really doesn't even need to be a national holiday.
I got it off.
You got it off?
It doesn't need to be a national holiday.
And I know a lot of people have different feelings on Juneteenth, being recognized, not being recognized, being made a holiday, not being made a holiday, other people celebrating it besides Black people celebrating it. Like, why is everybody getting, the fucking holiday off when this ain't for you? Like, there's a lot of different mixed feelings. And I've seen people's feelings change from, excitement in the very beginning because it was like, holy shit, acknowledgement, to it was just a fucking Band-Aid. You're not doing anything else.
I mean, my personal opinion is that I think, like Q was saying, and also Nikki, like you were saying, I think Juneteenth should be a Texas holiday because it does concern Texas. I think it should be mentioned in the history books, but I don't think it should be a holiday for the whole nation. You know what I mean? I think that there should be like a section in the history books where it talks about slavery, where they mention Juneteenth because it's something that the rest of the nation needs to know about. But I don't think it should be a holiday for everybody in the whole. I don't think it should be a holiday for everybody in the whole nation because Juneteenth didn't affect every Black person in the whole nation. It just was to set free the Black people that were enslaved in Texas.
And just like all those movies that they like doing, it's still a way to remind you about slavery. Like every time we want to, it's a reminder. So Kevin asked a question. Hold on, no, that ain't the one. Said, do you want a Black History Month? Black History Month is only necessary because they've historically blotted out our history in mainstream history. Every part of American history has Black history in it, from inventions to things that we've done to wars to everything. We are ingrained in everything, but they leave us out of it and then try to squeeze us in a month to try to. That's one of those things where they try to segregate you from, like, your history is separate from actual history, like it's a different type of history. No, it's not. So in my opinion, I don't like Black History Month, to tell you the truth, but it's only necessary because they blotted out of history overall. But the general answer is no, I don't like Black History Month.
Well, and his follow-up to that was Black history is American history. And it is. I mean, if they went back and they retaught history properly, we'd be talking about Black folks every day in history.
It wouldn't be necessary to have a Black History Month if we, like Will Smith said, tell the truth.
Right.
Ivory, what you got on your mind? Or you got a baby crying in the background?
No, my baby's asleep.
Oh.
You mean about 2021?
Yes. What stands out for you for what's the standout for you for 2021? You having a baby and your first boy. What else outside of that? What else stands out for you?
Yeah, yes, congratulations, Ivory.
Oh, you was gonna make sure I couldn't say that. Thanks. See, I couldn't set me up. Don't be talking about you had a baby this year. So on the point of having a baby this year, what stood out to me, for me personally, was just Black trauma is real. Not that I didn't know that already. Oh, can you guys still hear me?
You're on now. Sorry.
I hear you.
Okay. I said Black trauma is real. And this is probably was my first pregnancy, even though I was told other pregnancies to like avoid stress, and it was probably one of my first pregnancies. Just like I have completely like stopped watching the news. And like after the pregnancy was over, I just still like I haven't watched CNN, MSNBC, Fox News probably, since I had him. Like it's been months. Mm-hmm. So I think I learned this year, stop letting people like put things on me. But like me go find what I want, but not just allowing people to put it on me, which is like what media does if you allow it. And for Black people, it can put a lot of trauma on you. That's it. I'm done.
Ivory was traumatized in 2021.
I mean, but so I was going down like the
2020
list of
traumatized me.
2020. I was going down the list of things that happened in 2021, and it did pop up some 2020 things, but like it was a lot of like traumatic shit, and to Ivory's point, Black trauma. I mean, I looked at my list. April was the Derek Chauvin conviction, 22.5 years. Like for how many, for the last year and a half, 2 years, just watching everything George Floyd every single day, just over and over and over, watching him kill him every single day, until the trial
I've never
ended.
watched that video one time.
I didn't either. I couldn't. I had to stop watching those kinds of movies a couple years ago. Like I did used to watch all of those movies, all of those clips, just because I wanted to be accurate when I spoke on things. But I had to stop because at the end of the day, these are real fucking people who are literally being murdered, and I have no interest in murder porn whatsoever. And I realize a lot of people just are compelled to watch, but I had to stop, But for those that did watch, and even if you didn't watch the video, like if you were tapped into the news sources that Ivy just mentioned, or any news source for that matter, you were going to get that story every single day. And then once the case started,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I just say, sometimes I feel like 24-hour news was a mistake. Like I don't mean to like. I mean, I don't mean to say knowledge isn't important and it's not important to know what's going on in the world, because it is, but you know what I mean? It's like you can get like fatigue and like shell shock from every moment, like just breaking news and this happened and that. You know what I mean? It's like I remember when I was a kid, there used to be like, okay, there were like, there was like late at night, like at 6 and 11, they would have the news, and then that was it. That was like the news that you saw. You just saw it like like it came on at a certain time. They showed you the news happened for the day.
But the American flag up there.
And it was like, it was like,
of course, gotta put that American flag up there.
Fade the blue.
gotta have it.
And then that's what wakes you up on the couch.
Come back at 6 a.m.
And it's like, but now with the
24-hour feeds.
It feels like now it's more like storyline driven. Like they look for the stories that can make a storyline, and you divide it into good guys and bad guys, and then they just show that story all day long, and they make it seem like so in your face, and they make it seem so dramatic, and like you need to be focused on this, and like sometimes, like you said, Ivory and Nikki, sometimes you just need a break, because like it can drive. It's like being an insomniac where you never get to sleep. And it's like
that's a good point.
It's like you can go crazy like that, because even people that live with insomnia, if they don't go to sleep at some point, you can wind up just dropping dead, because your body needs a moment to like recuperate and recharge and stuff.
I had a conversation with one of my clients today about something similar to how growing up in the 70s and the 80s was so much nicer when the TV goes off and at midnight and that type of thing. But to the point of seeing that George Floyd video over and over again, I was like, you guys, I couldn't watch it. But I think the one that got me was the Eric Gardner chokeout video.
Yeah.
That one was the one that I said, you know what, enough is enough. And then the Tamir Rice, when the cops rolled up on him and shot him. And now this one that they're playing of the little girl in California, the 14-year-old gets shot through the dressing room.
Yeah, I can't watch that. Factory.
That one, and they show it. It's so like,
dressing room.
Well, they say that you hear the mom in the background, and that's the part I can't fucking hear. Like if that's what happens, I can't hear this.
How? So, like, why she get shot through the dressing room?
Well, this guy had apparently assaulted some people at Burlington Coat Factory, and they show him beating this lady with this chain with a lock on the end of it in the face, and her face is all, and blood is everywhere. And now you get the video of the cop's camera, the body cam, and they're walking through the store with these AR-15s. I'm just gonna call them rifles, and they're looking for the guy, and they see him. And he lets the girl go that he's hitting in the face with the lock. and goes down to one of the end of the aisles, and behind him is the dressing room. Well, they open. There's nobody else there for him to harm right there, and they're probably 15, 20 feet away from him.
He has no gun. He literally just has a lock in his hand. There's no other weapon but the lock in his hand. That's it.
And they opened fire on him with the rifles that were loaded with bullets that will go through walls. So if the bullet was going through him, which it would have, and it did, it went through the wall of the dressing room where the girl was inside the dressing room on the other side and killed her. And I guess that's when 14 years old. I guess her mother was like, what the hell? And she was just getting a dress or some clothes for a quinceanera that was going to take place. And she ended up getting shot. So, it's one of those situations where you're looking at the police could have used a different tactic, obviously, as you're looking at the body cam of the officer, and to use that type of ammunition inside a Burlington coat factory. You're thinking like, well, damn.
In 2021, after we
do any police reform,
right.
Because I
Here
can't
we are,
even,
still,
to a certain extent, I don't even blame the police. They're trained to behave and react a certain type of way, which I still blame them to some degree because then they're still selective in when and where and who they choose to do it around.
Because
they don't do that everywhere. Yeah,
that's
they
the
don't
problem.
do that
and Stokely, I mean, from what you're saying, it makes me wonder, why didn't they tase the guy? Like, right?
Exactly.
They had
they
could have like tased the guy. It wouldn't have gone through the
right. And that's the point. And again, when you're coming in there, Q made a good point. Like they're trained to do this, but they're
not
selective.
Trained to lose common sense. They're not. There's no way that 5 grown adult men could be standing there, trained properly, gone through all the things they have to go through as law enforcement agents, to be an officer in 2021, to have not learned any fucking lessons of anything that we've seen in the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of, police killing, especially people of color, on live television. Like, for them to still think, oh, let's take these fucking AR-15s, not sandbags, not anything else. Let's take the deadly gun choice and shoot at a fucking dressing room of Burlington Coat Factory in the middle of the day. Like, if you have to be trained, if that has to be trained out of you, you should not be a fucking police officer. You don't deserve to be a cop if common sense does not override your hungry, vicious nature to pull that fucking trigger and hunt somebody else down. Like, I'm sorry, there is no way around this, and this is LAPD's thing.
Right. Yes, it is because it gives people the liberty. It gives police officers the liberty to use weapons when weapons are not present. So a simple rule: if the suspect does not have a weapon that can discharge from long range, then we are not allowed to use these weapons. Right. Unless they have a gun, you're not able to pull out a gun. Right. Period.
It's the law of using the, what do they call it? The adequate force.
Deadly force, yeah.
So if me and Q get into a fight and we're both toe to toe and we don't have weapons, that would be reasonable. That would be a fight. If Q is there and has a gun and I don't have a gun and he uses that gun against me, that's what's basically happening with a lot of these police situations. I mean, you have, like I said, Q made a good point earlier. They're trained to do this. Now, common sense for a lot of these people, and also them being selective in who a white man would have never got choked out by the police over some damn cigarettes. They never
do. They never do. So this is not about training.
You have seen on TV a white man virtually push a cop. I wish I could push a cop. I mean, there's a bunch of cops I wish I could push. I have seen people spit in the face of cops and nothing happened. Mm-hmm. And, a brother can't even breathe on a cop good. Mm-hmm.
I mean, hello, Dylan Roof. They show up after white men have killed people and they get taken into custody. Right. Like, so it's not about training. I mean, I do understand that, yes, some things obviously you do need some psychological training for. but they do a horseshit job of the screening process.
That ain't just training.
Again, this
policy.
This
you
is
need
nothing
to change
new.
policy.
This is nothing new.
You know, police officers come from the slave catcher, profession. So this is exactly what they're fucking designed to do. Police are not there to help us, and anybody who thinks that cops are there to help us are still sucking on that teat of the stuff that we were all taught to believe growing up, that the cops were there to help us. Like maybe your local officer that that you grew up with in your neighborhood who's running your city beat, but like these other cops, this today cop, no, not at all. To think that you can shoot a gun in it just doesn't take a trained rocket scientist to know, damn, y'all, this is probably not the choice we should make in apprehending this dude. We could bum rush this motherfucker right now, all of us, and we could get him on the ground. Absolutely. But to shoot an AR-15 through a little skinny cardboard door, and now this 14-year-old girl is dead.
Is dead, right. It makes me think about something I always use when I'm having the conversation is, in the inner cities, they never send Barney Fife to the scene. They just don't. Barney Fife is that cop that gets cats out of trees and, picks up the newspaper and takes it to the door for, John Cleaver. In the city, you get RoboCop in the projects, and you get RoboCop, and that's that white cop that's a badass. He thinks he's a badass, and he comes into the neighborhood, and nobody trusts him. They don't feel comfortable with him, and he's just there flexing. And then when something pop off, he quick to grab his gun and shoot folk. So it's like I said, it's nothing new when we look at these types of situations. It's just getting very, very old to those of us that want change and want to see change and trying to advocate for those that, don't have the ability to help to change things, I guess.
No, I will say on the flip side in the criminal justice world, I feel like in the last part of this year, 2021, we've definitely seen more officers actually be held accountable for some of the murders that they've committed. We just recently had the Kim Potter, who was found guilty for murdering, was it Dante Wright, I believe is his name, and I totally apologize if I fuck these people's names up.
Hold on, they found her guilty. I don't watch the news for shit. So
yeah, she was found guilty.
They got her 1 and 2 manslaughter.
Yeah, she was found guilty.
But and that's almost like a this payback. We gonna send her down. That's almost what it seems like. I mean,
but I don't want to overstep that. That goes a long way.
It does.
Right.
I'm not saying it doesn't. We have to take these small steps.
It lets other people know that it's not okay to just kill people and think you're gonna get away. There was a point in time in history where you knew, well, I'll be all right. Ain't
right. They're not gonna do nothing. Right.
Now
people need that hesitation to know, hey,
Ahmaud Arbery's killers, while not police officers, they were racist white men. They were part of the system that we all hate so fucking much. They were found guilty.
They would have got away with it.
They would have.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
So back to the police officers. I have a good friend who's a police officer.
They were gonna get away with it.
You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good friend who's a police officer. And we talk about a lot of this stuff a lot. And he's always telling me, about certain cops who he can't believe they're on the force and these new cops they're hiring. I look at because we have Decatur Police Department is on Facebook and they'll show their new officers they hired. And they look like a bunch of some goofy ass kids. And he's like, man, I can't believe, he said, the numbers are so low with people applying that we're getting these people who probably shouldn't be police officers, and they're lowering the standards to get them. And they're scary. And, so that goes into account for a lot of it too. A lot of these people are fucking scary, man. They just don't, they've never been in a fight, because he does the jujitsu training, like the hand-to-hand training. And he's like, he'll have a class of 6 guys and he'll be like, raise your hand if you ever been in a fight. And maybe one of them will raise their hand.
Ain't got no business being a
That's dangerous.
I mean, everybody got to learn somewhere, but that ain't it.
That's dangerous. If you ain't never been in a fight.
Right. But another thing is,
you're going to be jittery.
We talk about these police shootings. We talk about the police shootings and stuff. And I was like, well, how do you feel about, them cracking down on police officers and stuff like that? And he was like, well, you know what? He said, I don't do that dumb shit. he said, you know, a lot of these guys do dumb shit and they deserve to get in trouble for what they do. So,
you know, I agree. If you don't do wrong shit, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You
Right.
shouldn't, you know.
But like we talked about last week, you know, especially when it comes to law enforcement, if you are an accessory, you are literally just that. If you
That's
are standing by and watching your fucking coworkers rape, rob, cover up, conceal, like, you know, no, that is a brotherhood. That is KKK with the fucking badge.
With a
like
badge,
that is
exactly.
the same thing.
Exactly.
Like you,
and
so that's my thing with police. Like, and I have a friend of mine who's a police officer, and I love her fucking guts to death. And we've been friends for 10 years longer than she's been a cop. She's been a cop for about 10 years now. So we've been friends for a very long time. And, you know, and we do have these heated conversations sometimes, because if you are sitting and watching corruption happen, you are complicit. My dad taught me that growing up, and there's just no way that you can undo that for me. So if you're watching your brothers, and I understand the brethren and the hierarchy up in the department is certainly probably going to fire you before they ever hold responsible anybody who's doing anything, you know, unethical. But we are in 2021. I mean, so what? Okay, and then what just happened? Like, I don't know if y'all saw this past weekend, a video came out. This police officer chick was at a police officer Christmas party, and she's giving her lieutenant a lap dance. Lieutenant is married. The video makes social media. The lieutenant's wife is pissed. The lieutenant, of course, offers this apology. The chick who's doing, you know, so you got all these cops who are at this cop fucking party doing cop shit, and, you know, she's dancing on her boss and whatever. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Can you send me that video, please?
Yes, it is. Shit, I'm in jail. I'm in jail. Look it up. I'm in jail.
That's the kind of situation where, like the employee is not supposed to be doing sexual stuff with the boss.
All of that goes to speak for improper behavior and improper environment, and that is what the police department is. It's improper all the fucking way around. Yes, absolutely.
There's a reason why I'm not a police officer, and I knew this at a very young age. I'm nervous. I live nervous, and you can't even. I'm telling you, I would be on desk duty forever because I'll be shooting folk like it wasn't nobody's business. That's just me, and I know. That's why I said I would be peeling caps. You hear me? I am not set up that way. I'm not gonna go out there and stop.
We need to get you in the range.
No, I'm just saying. Look, I'm not gonna stop you if you speed. I'm not gonna. I'm my business, and that's there are cops that feel the same way as I feel. That he may not be cut out for that, man.
Well, now Kevin is asking us. He says, "So does that mean Alec Baldwin should be found guilty?" Now, Kevin, can you elaborate? Because I don't know, like what happened with Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin happened in 2021. He shot somebody on a filming scene for his movie.
No, I've always wanted to ask about that. Like I tried reading about it, but I don't really understand all the details. So was it like they said they gave him and they told him it was a cold gun, meaning that the bullet, I guess, wasn't real or something, and he was
supposed to have not been.
There shouldn't have been any real bullets on set at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if
he has no responsibility to that. Zero. He has zero. I don't even know why they talk. The only reason they keep mentioning that is because his name is Alec Baldwin. Exactly. People know his name. He should not even be mentioned in that. He ain't got nothing to do with none of that.
See, because that's what I'm wondering. Like, because Matt, I tend to agree with your point. Like, if it's a movie, why is there real bullets on a movie set anyway?
Yeah, that's somebody else's at fault. Let me back up for a second. I just watched this lap dance.
Hey.
You watching it?
What's the problem? I don't see no problem.
Well, because Cuter problem.
He's married and he's married and he's her boss.
That's an internal issue.
He is her superior and he is married.
Internal issue. They handle that in-house.
Not when it hits the internet. Not when it hits the internet.
Look at it from purely an HR
People don't know how to put their phones down. That's the problem.
How many jobs
2021
do you do sexual stuff with your own boss? If you're an employee, most people, if you do anything sexual with your direct supervisor or boss.
But what that got to do with us, Armand? What that got to do with us?
But how she looked though?
Who? What?
Shut up.
Yeah. What's up, Matt?
Shut up.
Good for my taste, but
See, and that's the problem. That's the fucking problem. That's the problem.
I just said what's up,
yes.
Matt.
Please, Ivory,
What's up,
please,
Matt?
please.
Hey, Matt, I wouldn't have pushed her out the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, Ivory. Please. Let Ivory bring some sense to this goddamn conversation.
Lieutenant's wife just had to be upset. That's all.
She got the
I
right
wanted to go
upset.
back to this whole concept of people being scary, though. It's just not the real issue with police officers.
No.
You being green, you being scary, you being not trained exactly right, like that is not the issue. Because with all of those same issues at play, white people don't just get randomly shot by these scary people.
This is
They
true.
don't get randomly shot by these not well-trained people.
Right.
They don't get randomly shot by these nervous people. So like we give police officers all these excuses that just don't ring true because other people aren't getting shot by the same people who scare
Right.
you.
We're not out here banging all over the place because we're nervous.
So let me tell you what I said on Black Tea Talk about a year ago. I said this about a year ago on Black Tea Talk. And nobody take offense. Matt and Nikki don't take offense, all right?
Whatever.
So.
You already know.
I'm in the Matrix.
I'll put it in. You still in the Matrix. We can't see you. Or you in what was the one where the girl was stuck in the TV? The
Poltergeist.
Yeah, you in the Poltergeist.
Oh, right.
So this is what I said. A lot of the problem is these police officers are actually the bottom of the barrel. So let me tell you this. If I get a job as a police officer or Jose gets a job as a police officer, it's a decent job. It ain't bad. It ain't decent. For a white man to be a police officer when you have the entire world at your fingertips, you are at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Like literally, as far as pay, as far as like white people, they we respect you because you keep other people in their place and you keep them away from our neighborhoods. But they don't, that's why they talk to them crazy, because they don't really respect them.
Exactly.
So the only people you have become police officers from a white perspective are people who are generational. Their father, grandfather was police officers. They go down. You have people who are military, and that's kind of they kind of falls in line with what they already did. And then you have people, the other majority of people who couldn't cut it in regular white society, and this was their default job. Yeah, and they're already lesser. They feel like, because they're not equals to the rest of the white society. Where they're the same people who went to school with them making twice as much as they make. And now they're taking that stuff out on you.
So to that point, Q, I have two friends of mine grew up with me. Their dad played professional football for 12 years. They affluent white folk. Again, they fell into positions of, making good money. One was this was probably 10 years ago. He's probably been an officer now for 12 years, but he was making $350,000 a year back 12, 13 years ago, which to me was good money. It's good money today, shit.
Yeah.
And he literally walked away from this job to become a police officer in Austin. Now,
how much you say he was making? I missed that.
He was making $350 a year. Now, their family is wealthy. They own cabins in Rio, Mexico, and all this. But he left his job to become a police officer in Austin. And all of our friends really thought he was crazy. I mean, we looked at him like, you have got to be crazy. But he's still an officer in Austin. He still has money because his family has money.
Right.
We were shocked because, like you said, we looked at them like you were saying, you're just mediocre as a police officer, as a white man, because there shouldn't be a white man on any curb panhandling. There shouldn't be a white man begging me for anything. There shouldn't be a white man unemployed. And the reason I say that is because you have had the advantage from the day you came out the womb and opened your eyeballs. You have had that privilege and that ability, so.
Well, this is where they argue with you. What do you mean? I haven't had to work just as hard as you have.
they love that.
God. I love when they have that conversation with me. I'm like, well, let me tell you something.
Right.
Let me tell you about privilege.
And see, to have
But this is another issue too, though. With it is, and not just them. I agree with people who decide to be police officers. There's also, I mean, going back to our political conversation. This is why equity is so important. Not just equality, but that you bring our resources to the level that it should have already been because of our hard work and toil in this country. Because our equity is not at the level, then people who are on power trips know they can violate us without consequence. Why? Because we don't have the resources and the equity to fight you. Now, I always said this, and I think me and Quentin have had this conversation. You even see, if you look at the stories you normally see, and you see some stories, right, with middle class, upper class Black people going through things with the police, but not normally getting shot and stuff. You see that a lot less. Why? Because even when the police encounter them, they would love to shoot them too, because of their stereo and prejudice. But something in your mind says, maybe a consequence. I'm gonna pull back a little bit. But when they see lower class Black people and they're already racist,
No consequence.
you think no consequences. You get trigger happy.
Yeah.
That's just
Like
how
that
it
guy,
is.
like that guy who pulled over that
think you got
district
money.
attorney in Florida.
Oh yeah. He thought he was slick.
Yeah, he
She
backtracked
said,
so heavy.
"Do you know who I am?" And she asked him. And hey, but see, that's like you
he
said.
backtracked hard.
Equity is key. It is so key. When we talk about equity, when we talk about equality, we really should be talking about equity, because equity will bring the equality that we deserve.
Yeah, and I think also Stokely and Ivory, I think it also goes back to support your point about generational wealth. I mean, because when Black people, like y'all was saying, were brought here as slaves, they weren't allowed to acquire generational wealth, and they weren't also allowed to, they weren't taught the skills that they would need to earn generational wealth either. Like, a lot of people say, like, when Black people, when they have stuff and they have land and all that, like, I think there's a joke that, like, they don't leave inheritance or anything like that, or something. They don't, because
they got shit to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Because no one ever taught them, like the skills and stuff that they would need to know, okay, this is what I need to pass on. This is what I need to make for my kids. This is how I get a probate lawyer, all that kind of stuff. And so
when you look at it, the Land Act of, what was it, 1893, 73, something like that, where as long as white people could homestead the land, they could get it for $10, and so they were able to homestead. And 40% of white America still benefits from that today. Those ranches that you see when families own ranches nowadays, that is free land that they acquired during that. Well, Black people didn't qualify for any of that because we were just coming out of slavery. So we didn't qualify for any of that. Native Americans didn't qualify for any of that. So who got all of that? European people, white folks that came here and took everything to begin with. Not to bash white folks, but that's what happened. And so,
no offense, Nikki. No offense, man.
Shit, we know the truth. We know history. Despite what we've been taught, we know history. Shit, there's no offense taken. Tell it.
Stacey Shay said they was off the clock. She referring to the cops who got the lap dance. It was off the clock.
Be that as it may, that is your superior, and that is inappropriate, and that is misconduct, and that's what they do. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Give lap dances.
No, they do shit that is immoral. They do shit that they would. They do. So as a superior, as a lieutenant, as a superior, it's acceptable for your employees under you to give you a lap dance.
No,
Fuck
I'm
no.
not.
In no company dynamic.
No, I'm saying
In
you
no
cannot.
company dynamic is that ever going to be
Isolate them being
acceptable.
police officers from anybody else. I used to go to parties, these Christmas parties with my sister, and she used to work for these retirement. Them, man, they would get wild over there. They would do a lot of stuff. They ain't had no
We know. We know. But we go to jail for it. But we go to jail for it. No, we go to jail for it. No, no.
Retirement policies.
It speaks to your character. It speaks to your character. It speaks to your character. And when you are in a position of power, your character needs to be better.
Yeah, and I mean, and Q, like Nikki's saying, though, excuse me, let me put it this way though. Like, okay, so if that cadet had sex with her captain at that party, would that have been okay? I mean, if she had done more than just a lap dance,
it would have been morally wrong because he's married. It doesn't change anything.
All of that was wrong for a million reasons.
It's just as wrong at a HEB party as it is at a police party.
Well, yeah, Q, I'm not
you can't make it one worse.
Right, but HEB employees are not emboldened with a pass and a fucking badge to carte blanche whatever they want to do with civilians in society.
No company party should allow alcohol. How about that?
They shouldn't. Shit. They shouldn't.
And ain't nobody gonna show up to the party.
I don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. Take your ass home and drink, but you ain't finna fucking cut up in my business under my name.
I've been to many a church parties where they serve juice and cookies.
I want my 2 drink tickets. That's my
She said my 2 drink ticket. No.
I wonder how she felt the next day when she went to work, though. I wonder how she felt.
She didn't
put out an apology.
She did, but she didn't quit, but she's like not going back. She's like, I can't remember what they said it was, but of course now it's under investigation from Internal Affairs. But I just have a problem when it's like there's certain professions that when you license under a profession, there's ethical codes that you have to follow, and those ethical codes are generally in line with what your profession is and consists of and portrays. So when your actions, this is like any other hypocrite. When your actions do not match the words and the intention in which you have actually signed an oath to uphold, you have to go.
You turned into the fun police, Nikki.
Whatever. That had no business happening. That had no business happening. I bet I won't get no fucking lap dance from a stranger. I bet you that much.
Because Q wasn't a
stranger. Who isn't? Shit.
Even in my job, like you, even in my job, the first thing we're taught from our handbook is no vertical dating. You can't date your boss. You can't have any kind of.
Who said she was dating them?
But you can't have any kind of personal relationship with your boss.
It goes back to if you're a school teacher, you can't be doing stuff with people.
Oakley, hold on. I gotta because we listen. I remember vividly a few months back, we had a conversation about twerking and it being as accepted as an elegant dance the same way that all other dances are.
We didn't all agree with that, though.
Hold on. Let me go here. So if
you ain't talking to me.
If they were in 3-piece suits and gowns and they decided to do a waltz, they were playing waltz music and he decided to do a waltz dance with his subordinate, would you have had the same response?
He wasn't waltzing. She was rubbing her.
So you wouldn't have had the same response.
He wasn't waltzing.
I
mean, she really shouldn't be dancing.
Conversation. We said that twerking could be elegant and twerking could be.
I didn't. I didn't. But she also didn't. She also that also wasn't the conditions. She shouldn't be fraternizing, like you said, Stokely. That's a word that we use in the therapeutic profession. She shouldn't be fraternizing with her superior. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be fraternizing with her. Like literally in the counseling profession, when you go take a break from group, you let your clients go outside and smoke. As a therapist, you don't go outside with them. Like, and unless there's legitimately a reason to have an individual conversation with your client, you don't fraternize. You as the therapist go the fuck over here and you take your break and your clients go over here and they take their break. And then you come back together and you process whatever. So for him to be the superior, for him to have the moral fortitude that he's supposed to have as one, a lieutenant, two, a married fucking man.
In the seat. He shouldn't have sat down in the seat.
I mean, there's a lot of things that shouldn't have had. There's a lot of things that shouldn't have happened.
In the seat,
but
then you need to be facing the table. You shouldn't have faced away from the table.
I mean, it happened. It happened. Okay, so I was thinking of like some 2021 keywords of things that like were probably things maybe not all of us had heard of until this year. So like, telehealth. Telehealth was new to a lot of people. Just the access to, like a doctor robot, online, or, having a therapist, meeting from the comforts of home and not having to go into a therapist's office. It's like telehealth was really new for a lot of people. Virtual meetings, people had never done a Zoom ever until 2020, 2021. Like, working from home wasn't even an option for so many people, but now how many people can't even imagine ever going back into an office?
Yeah, Nikki, going what you're saying though, that's one of the things I noticed too. I mean, I think this year we really saw that a lot of the jobs that they always told us we had to commute to go to an office to do, if you got a laptop and a webcam, you can easily do it from home. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, if we've had this capability for a while, why, I guess because of tradition, they said, well, you got to commute and you got to go through traffic. And
that's just what you do. It's just what we do.
Yeah, but now it's
just like going to school. It's just what we do.
I got a friend of mine who closed his whole law office down and lets people work from home now. So his overhead.
I mean, the overhead savings alone is like
definitely.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. Y'all all go home and work from home. Make the calls that you need to make and do it from home. And he shut his whole entire office building down.
Wow.
They ain't paying
and that can be scary.
Electricity. It can
yeah.
Be. But I think even if he ended up with, say, 3 employees that work for him, I don't know, he would still have a business a viable business that he could continue to do what he needed to do. Right. But
especially with courts being virtual, all things related to getting into the courts is virtual. So it's like, why even have this office, this overhead, pay all these, utilities? I mean, and we certainly thought about that quite a few times over the last 2 years, but we have to have an office. We have to maintain an actual office location. But like, that was just, seeing people who are now struggling with not wanting to go back to work, asking the questions of, well, if I've done my job successfully over the last, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, virtually working from home, why would you want to drag us back into the office? And I do understand that there is some productivity that happens in an office setting that doesn't happen at home. But some people have actually become more genuinely happier working from home and having a little more control of their daily structure than, sitting in traffic for 2 fucking hours a day and gas money and wear and tear on your car and being in an environment with, bosses who want to lap dance with you, like having, like just being in a toxic work environment. Like, I applaud businesses who are allowing people to work from home exclusively and who are giving people that opportunity to be a little bit less traditional than where we all come from, where you go work for somebody 5 days a week from 8 to 5, and then you clock out on Friday, and that's your personal time. Like, no, so that's definitely been something I think has been a huge thing for a lot of people. Is just the virtual option. Something I read today. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, people have become far more productive, not only in work, but in their home life as well, being able to work from home. I don't have, for instance, my laundry doesn't stack up. I mean,
right.
2 baskets of laundry I needed to fold, and I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy. But being able to, free up some time, it allows you to do other things.
Well, and you have a wife now too, so
there you go. Yes. So
you still do laundry, bro?
Man,
what's the option? Is there a laundry alternative?
Well, I got a wife now.
You got a wife now.
Matt asked you. No, okay. I was like, do you not do laundry, Matt? I'm still confused.
I do laundry.
I don't have a wife, so yeah, I do laundry.
Of course, of course, of course.
Also, when you get a
Nasty
wife, then that
people
means you're
wives
not
don't
gonna do
do
laundry
laundry.
no more.
Yep. No more.
What about
I like
dishes
doing
and
laundry actually.
now. Ooh, I can't stand laundry. I do dishes all day. I can do that laundry. I hate folding clothes. I got drawers hanging in the closet right
Folding
now.
clothes. Who
Yeah,
folds
that's
clothes?
part of doing
Fold
laundry.
clothes right before I got on.
No. What about was the crypto world new to y'all? Was NFTs, was Bitcoin, was all this like explosion of the interest in stocks and watching money? Was that new to a lot of y'all this year? Because I don't think I knew it. I didn't know all these damn
It was
stock
new to
investors
me.
and all these
It was
money
new to me,
investors
Somebody
until this
explain
I
to me what
year.
agree. It was new
NFT
to
is.
me.
Yeah, it was kind of new to
I
me.
still don't know what NFT is. I know it's like a
I really don't either.
non-fungible. I know it stands for non-fungible token, but I always thought token was something you use in a subway.
Like a
Yeah,
Chuck
I
E.
thought it
Cheese
was like a
coin.
subway token.
No, that's considered a coin, a cryptocurrency coin. They call them tokens. But
Okay,
yeah,
because I don't
This year
know. I
has
mean,
been the most about commerce I have ever paid attention to and learned about.
Agreed.
I have learned the most
Really?
about commerce this year.
Agree.
Now
I agree with you.
I will say this, that these younger people, 20-year-old kids, they've become a little more savvy with the Bitcoin and the Dogecoin, whatever it's called, and all that other stuff. And my youngest, I'm impressed. She had a $200 investment, walked away with $7,800. So I was like, okay,
There you go.
Wow.
yeah, she did a $200 investment.
Badass.
Walked away with $7,800 and went blew all that shit. Let me tell you
Oh
how mad I was.
no!
All right, ain't tricking if you got it.
That's what I'm
Damn
saying.
it.
I say, go give daddy some of that.
But I mean, okay, so that statement right there, like how amazing is it though of an opportunity for you to be able to have that conversation with your kid? Like, I don't know about y'all, but my parents didn't have those conversations with us. I don't know shit about trading and shit about stocks and shit about that type of stuff. That's just not where I come from. And it's been a little bit overwhelming to me, but I have sat back the last year and just like absorbed and watched and just kind of like watched how my friends trade. And I have a few friends who have like put me onto just like baby game, right? But like nothing to where I was in a position to where I could even invest any money right now, but ready to pull the trigger whenever that time comes, because I don't think you can get away from it. Yeah, I don't think that you can. I think in order to really make some money, you have to be investing in something somewhere. But like this whole crypto money thing was super new to me. Like
20 years ago,
language.
20 years ago, you'd have to have a broker. You gotta, I mean, then you gotta, every time you want to trade a stock, then you gotta call your broker. You gotta pay this amount of fee. You gotta it was so many go-betweens that made it hard. And typically you'd have to have a pretty substantial amount of investment to have a broker
to get in.
who would even do that. And now with the internet now and these new platforms, they've taken the middleman out of the picture. You can literally take $1 and start investing and understand and seeing it move and work. You can do the buying and trading and selling and all of this stuff that people went to school for to learn how to do for you. Now you can do it for yourself. So now it's just the information.
That's it. I put my parents on that. A friend of mine bought one of these cryptos at 0.00007, less than a penny. And when that shit reached $1.95, they were good.
Mm-hmm.
They bought $200 at 0.00007, and when it hit $1.95, they was to the good. And I was like, "Holy crap! How can I get in on this?" And $1.95 a little too steep for me, so I was like, "Let me sit down somewhere." But yeah, that's the way it happens, and it's about timing. It's about watching. It's about knowing people that will tell you and put you down, put you on it. But it's one of those things. And Q was right. Back in the day, it was far more difficult, but people weren't willing to give it the time and put the time in. And then a lot of times people didn't have that kind of money to put a substantial amount of money down.
Right.
Or did they create it? And did they create it to where it's like, did they create it to make it seem like it was just super like unobtainable for anybody that wasn't really rich, or that's just the way that I saw it, you know? That's how I always felt. Like you had to be rich to play stock or to be in a trading market. And now I'm like pissed off that like this isn't a class that my kids are getting exposed to, you know, or that like we as adults are not being taught this. And you know, so kudos to all of our friends who are putting us up on game, who are learning as this experience goes on, who are sharing, you know, information with others so that we can all fucking eat a little bit off of the same table. Because, you know, along with crypto, like real estate also became a hot topic for a lot of people this year. And I think more so because it's like, if you hadn't already gotten into real estate now, it's fucking hard to get into it because it is so expensive right now. But how valuable land is, of course, assuming that you can obtain some, but even on the smallest level, or just even, you know, the social media sites that I follow of people who give the shortcuts to things that we were never given shortcuts to, different types of loans to get as opposed to standard loans, you know? So there was a lot of education, I feel like, that came out of 2021. Yeah, lots of startups. Lots of startups.
Putting you down, putting you up on game when it comes to starting a business and what you need to look out for. Did you read the article about the lady who didn't buy her kids any Christmas gifts?
No.
There was a black lady didn't buy. She has 3 kids, didn't buy them any Christmas gifts, and you know, all her friends were talking about how wrong she was for not getting her kids no gifts and all this stuff. She bought her kids, between the 3 of them, 20.77 acres of land, though.
Oh, I saw that article. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And so all her friends were dogging her out. And now she's got they as a family have 20.77 acres of land. And
that's a lot.
It is. And to think that the money she bought it for will, I mean, she'll make her money back and
feed her family for the rest of their lives. Yes,
absolutely.
For the rest of their lives, she'll be able to feed her family.
I think more people need to think along those lines. I mean, there's an investment. That's a true investment. What they're not building anymore of is land. So
exactly.
Land.
And that's what I was thinking when Nikki was saying it. And the population, the world population, is still growing. As long as there's more people, going to be occupying this earth at one period in time. The value of the land and space is going to increase.
Right. So, and that's something they're not building anymore. What's here is here, you know. So, I thought it was
go to Decatur, get some acres.
Is there a lot?
Oh my God, it's so cheap there. It is so cheap there.
Where? Nikki gonna move to Decatur.
I am not. It's still too cold for me.
It's super cheap.
It is so cheap to live there. I saw some property. I don't know why this even popped up. I guess because it's probably in my GPS from when I traveled this summer. And so like just random stuff will pop up with algorithms. And I saw like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, like house for rent for like $539 a month. And I was like, what? I was like,
you know that show, oh gosh, is it like Love It or List? No, it wasn't Love It or List. It's one of those shows where they're showing properties in different places. Oh no, it was my $1 million dream, $1 million lottery home or whatever. These people lived in Kansas and they bought a house that was, I mean, ridiculous. This house, the house that they showed on that show in Kansas was $305,000. It would have clearly been 800, 900,000 here in Dallas, easily. And I was like, wait a minute, they're getting all this house for, and then it had like 2 acres of land. I'm thinking like, holy crap.
Yep.
$305,000.
You can't even get a condo here for $305 anymore.
And that goes back to what we were talking about a few months ago, was how everything in Dallas is now truly becoming gentrified. It's ridiculous. It's insane. I mean, the land that nobody wanted down by Trinity River, they're building these high-rise apartment buildings, and you can't afford to live in there. I mean, you're talking rent in one of those is $3,200 a month.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I'm thinking like, holy smokes. So I don't know where they're gonna find these people to occupy all that, but they'll find them.
Oh, they're coming from California. They're all coming from other places.
That's true.
They are loving Texas.
Stacey, what's on your mind, Stacey?
I was just gonna say, Stacey, you chimed in here. How are you? What are you thinking? Oh, we can't hear you.
Hey,
okay, there we go.
I had to unmute myself. I had to get in here on this. I just wanted to jump in on that. I want to circle back to what y'all were talking about before about the police officer at the party
Police,
after hours.
lap dance.
Okay,
Let's
so
go. What are your thoughts?
I want to preface this with saying that I work HR. Like that is my lane, that is my wheelhouse, and things come across my desk. And for the years and years that I've done HR and things of the like. And as long as it's like, I mean, yes, like Nikki was mentioning some things like for certain professions, there is absolutely a code of ethics and a standard of conduct that transcends the actual place of employment. It goes with your licensure. It goes with your certifications. But if you are off work, you are off the clock, you are grown folks out there doing what you do. Like I cannot tell you how tall the stack of BS would be if I involved myself with the things that my staff did outside of the office.
Off the clock.
And we just to a certain degree there's a line. Like there's as like I put in the comments, of course it's the immoral element of it, of the fact that he's a married guy. But he's a grown married man, and that's a grown woman that was rubbing on him. And if it's outside of the workplace, and if it's consensual, like, yes, okay, I can totally get that it's inappropriate. But is it something that doesn't happen all the time? Is it something that is not as long as it doesn't come into the workplace? I can't control what people do outside of the workplace. And I'm a director of HR. And like I set the tone, I set the culture, I say what is okay and what is not okay in the workplace. And that's now if a person does something outside of the workplace and it causes a hostile work environment and impacts the work inside the workplace, then we got a problem. But once you leave your job, like once everybody clocks out and they go home, that's a person and another person. And as crappy as it seems and as it looks for us as outside observers, folks are allowed to engage with each other outside of work,
Unless your codes say that you're not allowed to. Unless your licensure says you're not supposed to.
If you've got licenses and certifications, right? Mm-hmm. And also giving somebody a lap dance doesn't mean that you're dating.
No, but it's sexual. It's right, but it's sexual.
That I don't like about
contact.
That part is we were privy to 45 seconds of what was probably a 4-hour party. And I mean, I'm sure there was a certain environment and atmosphere that led up. I don't think there's just
they weren't the only ones doing that.
Exactly. And it's like context is big to me. And yeah, he could be wrong. That could be over the edge, but there's a lot of stuff that goes over the edge in the flow of a certain atmosphere or room. And if everybody in the room is okay with it, now you're going to have to deal with your wife later. That's on you.
And
that's
if I may throw this in there, there's certain industries, certain lines of work that are extraordinarily traumatic and emotionally draining. And there's very few people that can understand what you're experiencing when you're doing that work. And so there is a connection that happens when you're working with those individuals. And of course, you can't act on those connections in the workplace. And so as soon as you get outside, you're like, hey, here's a person who understands all the stresses that I go through at the job. And they know what's up. And they behave as such in those settings. And I cannot... Of course, we advise in HR, we always advise against dating your subordinates all the time. Like it's always, if you can avoid it, don't dip your pen in the company ink. But again, once you get outside, you are a whole person. Your job is your job. That's it. You might have a different job next week. You might have a different job tomorrow, next year, whatever. You're still a whole person outside of that job. And you engage with people as a whole person outside of that job. And if you've got somebody in your workplace who you relate to, who understands what you encounter, who understands what you go through on the day to day, there's going to be a connection there. That's trauma bonding. Okay, let's call it what it is. It's trauma bonding. But lap dances is not sex.
Ain't that why we give military people a pass on being whores to some degree?
What? What?
No, we don't.
You have not heard the phrase that military people are whores.
Well, yeah.
Nobody's heard that.
But that doesn't mean there's a past. But yes, we hear it.
When you facing death and there's bullets whizzing by your head, and look, you gotta
adrenaline, man. Visceral. We are sensual creatures. You know.
Well, okay. I mean, I was just gonna say, Stacy, that's a really nice kitchen you got there. I mean, behind you, your kitchen looks. The layout is really great.
I agree.
Thank you.
But by the way, I just want to say, I thought I saw the cat climb up on the stove or something.
No, it's not on the stove.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, it looked like your stove was
the stove is behind me. You see this arch right here behind me?
Got that brick oven pieces, like Kevin Hart said.
Yeah, they don't get up there. I don't do that. No, I've got a little like a cat house right here so that they can.
Okay,
they don't get on my. They don't. No.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But thank you. Yeah, I love this kitchen. It's awesome.
So, yeah.
But no, it's really. But really,
when
you're looking at a person like. Of course, it is the wisdom is don't date people at work because it messes with your money and you don't want to mess with your money, right? That's the conventional wisdom. But when a person is off the clock, they're off the clock. I'm not going, like, I don't go to parties, you know, like I'm not going to be the one that's going to show up and be at the hot tub pajama party for this coworker's birthday party. I'm not going.
I'm very cautious about how I operated.
Hell yeah.
What's supposed to, because it's like a trap, man.
It's a trap. It's a trap. And so that's something that happens with it.
Off the clock, everybody get to let their hair down. You get to just relax and enjoy each other. And this, but like that, there's cameras around and there's people don't forget. If you don't know how to handle your alcohol and you go over the edge, people ain't gonna forget that.
I'm not going.
You can't take back some of the crazy stuff.
And so when you ask, should companies not allow alcohol? I don't have a problem with that because some of the biggest asses have been made of people under the influence in company situations that you are fucking regretting for the remainder of your career. So you're right, it does, but you're right. But as we talk about removing certain things from certain situations to avoid certain things from happening, hell yeah, take the alcohol away.
I use that as a measuring stick. I go there and I sit there and I casually sip and I'm like, I'm looking who don't know how to handle themselves.
And it's always going to be somebody
who think it's okay to step over the line with their bosses and their superiors. I'm just sitting back there watching. I'm paying attention to everything.
And they do.
Y'all know I talk about folk. I talks about everybody. So
I now listen.
Mess up in front of me. I'm telling it.
Listen, and as you should. No, but if it's off the clock, if it's outside of the workplace, there's a certain understanding where I would always used to when I would go to stuff before I was the position that I'm in now where I can't. But I would say, look, if you tell them you saw me here, I'm gonna tell them we saw each other. You were here too, so let's let that be what it is, you know. And that's adult decisions that you're making there. But again, you know, I'm someone who's like, hey, don't dip your pen in company eat, because it's always going to get messy unless y'all end up married, living together happily ever after, or y'all came in it together, starting it together. It's going to end up a mess almost all the time. But people meet at work. People meet their spouses at work all the time, and it doesn't have to be some crazy, disgusting, evil, ucky, you know, thing. These are people that have common life work, common vocation, common missions and values and sensibilities. And so those people are going to be attracted to each other. The best that we can do as an organization is to encourage wise decisions, encourage discretion, and, you know, act right when people are watching. Whatever people do behind closed doors in private, and I feel this way about most things, whatever 2 or 3 or however many consenting adults decide to do in private, they should be allowed to do that. As long as everybody is consenting. You know?
I agree, Nikki.
What?
I just said I agree. That's all.
Well, you said you agree, Nikki, not Stacy. Stacy was talking.
I know, but I'm just saying I agree. And
he's watching your face because you're like, I don't know, because you're coming at it from a counselor standpoint. The counselor rule is like never, 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 never. There is a line.
Yeah, the therapy field has a whole different set of rules, and we see why they're there. They're there for a great reason.
Nikki, I don't want
But
to hear
dating
that.
your clients,
Listen, hold on, time
it's
out
very
again.
different than dating another counselor. Like
Let
if
me
you
go
had
time
another
out again.
Sure.
working,
But
you know, it's
sure.
Hold on.
Sure.
I think
Let me hold on a second. Hold on. Let me go back for a second to another
Go on
episode
ahead.
a year ago. Now we talked about Jada Pinkett in August and her entanglement, and she specifically said she was mentoring him and still got caught up in an entanglement.
And I wasn't down for none of that shit. I wasn't down for that at all. Like, no. There's a part of if she was truly his mentor, there's a part of her that took on a predatory role. I don't care how he,
right? It's the power dynamic. When there's an imbalance in the power dynamic, it's a thing. But if they are not at work, there is no imbalance in the power dynamic. Those are two people. Now, if they bring it into work, and this person
and it's going to inadvertently be brought into work. There's no way it's going to not be at that job forever. It may, in the beginning, be able to like make some shit work, but eventually, with all human things, because we're humans by default, we fuck up. Like it's going to eventually get taken into work, and that's where it causes problems. Now, is this everybody's? Does everybody have to adhere to the same rules? No, because everybody doesn't have the same type of profession, and everybody isn't in certain professions where there is an expectation of a moral code and ethical code, boundaries for a very safe reason for both myself and for the person that I'm dealing with, my employee, my client, my whatever the case may be. I just, I'm not for no bullshit behavior regardless. So I just,
personally, I wouldn't date a subordinate, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't date, I wouldn't feel all that comfortable if my boss tried to date me,
Right.
But again, I'm not going to make, if a boss asks me if we're out after work or whatever at not a company sanctioned thing, not a, like we're all just out somewhere and it's not going to be a problem for me if I just say no and then it stays at no, then there's no problem. That's not harassment. To be harassment or inappropriate, it's got to be pervasive and it's going to be ongoing, or it's got to be drastic and extreme as a one-time incident. And lots of things are bad ideas. Lots of things are bad ideas.
Right.
But is it wrong?
Right.
And that shit she did was a bad idea.
Hold on, Nikki.
What is her objective, Nikki? What's her objective?
I don't know. I don't dance on married men's lap. I don't dance on married men boss laps. I don't know. I'm not sure.
We caught 45 seconds of probably a 4-hour party.
Maybe so. Maybe that was just the part that somebody was like, "We got to get this bitch on camera." Can you believe what she's doing?
Or get him on camera, or whatever.
Got them both. Got both they ass. Got him and got her.
Yes, somebody was trying to eat their lunch. Somebody was trying to eat their lunch. But both of those people that were engaged in that activity had zero problem with it.
That's where that alcohol comes.
Well, that doesn't mean that other people don't. That doesn't mean that other people in the workplace might not have seen favoritism or.
Were they in the workplace?
Huh?
It was at a party. It was like a
company function. I mean, they weren't like.
And we need to delineate that too. Is it an official work function, or was it work people got together and went to a party and had a party? Because those are two different things.
It says holiday party. That's what the caption says. Holiday party.
But again, was it like one of the coworkers is hosting a holiday party, or was it an official police department holiday party? Because those are two different things.
Either way, I'm sure somewhere in the rules that wasn't supposed to have taken place.
It was still a lap dance.
But
though.
I mean,
like,
somebody
she had clothes on. She got clothes on. She just got a mini skirt on. It could be lack of tact, or not.
So what is the problem? Why is it so inflammatory? Is it like the look of impropriety, or the? Because I heard what you were saying before I hopped on is like the inappropriate relationships in general. But why?
Who's to say they had any relationship though?
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to ask. Like, why is it a problem that those people were enjoying each other at the time?
Right.
Because what they have, the dude's got to deal with his wife, and the lady's got to deal with whatever gossip goes on at the workplace about who saw it and everything else. But what is the problem with those two adults doing that at a party that, you know, again, I would need more information to know, like, yeah, they call it a holiday party, but is it a person's holiday party that they happen to invite their work friends to? Or is it a company sanctioned, this is the official company holiday party? Because that matters.
It looked like there's some type of bar, probably a bar that, you know, a lot of police officers frequent or whatever. But yeah, we don't know. So hold on a second. Hold on real quick. Nikki, I don't know if there's any last questions or anything you want to close out, but it's almost
not really.
10, but I wanted to make sure that you're right. Close out before Black Tea Talk come on. But I just wanted to, you know, make sure that if you want to close out with anything specific, that you had time to do that.
No, nothing in particular. You know, I just kind of how I started the conversation, right? Just imploring people to educate yourself, to research and investigate things on multiple levels, you know, before speaking on things or, you know, making decisions on things and declarations on things and being a part of the problem. There's a part of the solution. You know, 2021 was a wake-up year for a lot of us, has been a year of growth for a lot of us, has been a year of, you know, manifestations for a lot of people. So, you know, some people really do look forward to like New Year's Eve as like this time stamp to, okay, new is about to happen. Like, you know, I'm going to do something different. Some years I kind of subscribe to New Year's resolutions, and other years I don't. But, you know, I know me personally, 2021 for me has meant that 2022 is going to be a completely different year for me. It's going to be a journey and a path that a lot of heartache has had to happen to get me to that place. And I'm okay with that finally. But it took all of this fucking year, I think, to really open my eyes in different places and spaces and tap into things to be able to hopefully take this journey. And, you know, so for that, those of y'all who are watching, who are kind of, you know, maybe at the same place, there's a lot of us who are ready for something different, you know. So 2021, while I said was, you know, kind of had a vibe to it for me, I guess maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought or felt, but the reality is this is where we are, man. So not much more than that for me. We are going to, I mean, you're welcome to join us, of course. Tea Talk is going to start here at 10 o'clock. So if you're not following the Black Tea Talk channel, jump over there. A couple of us will be over there. Smack's going to talk about.
Subscribe.
Yeah, definitely like, share, subscribe over there. Smack's going to be talking about the Jay-Z versus Zero versus Wayne, just this conversation that you see happening
a prediction about
so
that.
much
I
right
made a
now.
prediction in my 2022.
Well, hang on to it because we're gonna be talking about it in about 5 minutes, and then I think he was going to talk about, and then he was going to talk about the Matrix.
I'll tag you.
Yeah, so Black Tea Talk is on Facebook. And then, of course, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. I think I realized tonight that the only comments that are posting to the StreamYard are the ones directly in the YouTube live chat. So I'm seeing a gang of folks who are commenting, I think either under your personal page queue or the repost over into Facebook. So for those of y'all that are watching us from Facebook, do please subscribe over to our YouTube channel because we can read your comments on the computer, but we're not seeing them on the screen. And I want to definitely shout out to all the people who supported us in the comments because there's a bunch of names I had never seen. So thanks for tuning into the channel. Those of y'all who are watching us from YouTube, of course, thank you so much for the support over there. Stacy, Stokely, Armand, Q, do you guys have any last words? Otherwise, we are going to jump over to Black Tea Talk here in just a few minutes.
I have nothing else to give.
Thanks, y'all, for being a part of this year, this
Armand,
everything.
What was you gonna say, Armand?
Nikki, that design, that pattern behind you looks really nice.
Thank
that's
you.
a nice painting on the
Broke
left
it out
side.
early.
Thank you, Armand. You casing everybody's joints tonight, I see, but I'm going to lock my door and set my alarm.
No, I'm just saying, y'all got good taste in like.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You got some nice doors and blinds back there, bro.
Yeah, that's my only downfall to StreamYard. I can't use my green screen, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't use the green. It don't give me the option to use my.
Well, we gonna fix some things in 2022. Yeah. Damn it, we got some things on the board for us. And Stacey, was good to see you in the conversation tonight. I saw, like I said, I saw a bunch of names in the post. I was like, damn, these are not showing up. So, thanks y'all for supporting us. Thanks y'all for hanging in here with us every Tuesday. Hope we will continue to see you every Tuesday in the future. Follow us on all of our social media sites. Of course, everything is on Freethinkers and on our YouTube channel. And join us on Black Tea Talk in the next couple minutes, and we'll have some interesting conversation, continued. So Happy New Year's, happy 2021. Love and appreciate all the support, and we'll see y'all next year.
Y'all be good. Be
Happy
safe.
New Year. I'm gonna tag you in, Stokely, on that.
Okay, cool.